everyone, I hope you're holding up okay today. I want to take a little extra time to talk through something that has been filling my inbox and comment section nonstop, and that's the ongoing conversation around possible payments being discussed in connection with the Trump administration. This topic keeps coming up for a reason. For a lot of households right now, extra money isn't a luxury. It's the difference between catching your breath and constantly feeling like you're one unexpected bill away from trouble. Before we go any further, take a second to subscribe so you don't miss future updates. And if this video helps you at all, please like it and share it so it reaches others who may be depending on this information just as much as you are. What makes this situation different from what we've seen in the past is that these potential payments are not being described as traditional stimulus. Instead, they're being tied to tariff revenue, which is unusual and honestly confusing for many people. Let's slow everything down and talk carefully about what's actually being discussed, because there's been a lot of noise, speculation, and mixed messaging floating around. The idea that has been mentioned publicly is the possibility of $2,000 payments to Americans, sometimes referred to as tariff dividend checks. The basic concept is that money collected through tariffs on imported goods could be redistributed back to the public. As soon as people hear that, the questions start flying. Are checks really happening? Who qualifies? When would the money arrive? And that's exactly where expectations need to be handled carefully, because discussion does not equal approval. Talking about something publicly does not mean it's guaranteed. Even when high-level officials mention timelines or float ideas in interviews, that does not bypass the process. Any payment like this would require congressional approval. That means legislation has to be written, debated, voted on, and passed. None of that happens automatically, and none of it happens quickly. Supporters of the idea argue that recent economic conditions make this possible. They point to multiple quarters of solid growth, easing inflation compared to previous years, and a reduction in deficit levels from earlier periods. In some brief windows, revenue has even exceeded spending, which is rare and often cited as a sign of economic strength. From that point of view, the argument goes something like this. If the economy is growing, inflation pressures are cooling, and tariff revenue is coming in, then maybe there's room to return some of that money to the public. On paper, that sounds reasonable, especially to people who have been dealing with higher prices for years. But economics isn't just about what sounds reasonable. It's about scale, sustainability, and long-term impact. And that's where a lot of economists start to raise red flags. One of the biggest concerns is cost. Sending $2,000 payments to a broad portion of the population could cost hundreds of billions of dollars. Tariff revenue, even in strong years, usually falls far short of that amount. That gap creates uncertainty. If tariff revenue doesn't fully cover the cost, then additional funding would need to come from somewhere else. That could mean increased borrowing, spending cuts, or other trade-offs. Those decisions are where proposals often stall or fall apart. There's also the issue of how tariffs affect everyday life. While tariffs are technically paid by companies importing goods, those costs often get passed down to consumers. That means higher prices on clothing, electronics, appliances, tools, and other common items. Many people may already be paying more without realizing tariffs are part of the reason. From that perspective, a payment might feel less like a bonus and more like getting back some of what you've already spent. Still, economists worry that sending out large sums of money could increase consumer spending too quickly. Even though inflation has cooled, it hasn't disappeared. A sudden surge in spending could push prices back up again, especially in areas like housing, food, and services. Employment trends also factor into this conversation. Some reports show continued job creation, while others suggest hiring is slowing in certain sectors. There are debates about workforce availability, labor shortages, and wage pressures. Some industries struggle to find workers, while others are tightening budgets. These dynamics all feed into pricing, business costs, and economic stability. Payments, tariffs, jobs, and inflation are all connected. You can't change one without affecting the others. So where does that leave things right now? As of today, there are no approved tariff-based payments. There is no signed law. There is no official payment schedule. There are no confirmed eligibility requirements. What exists is discussion, public statements, and political debate. Even within government, there are serious concerns about the national debt, which remains extremely high. Many lawmakers have said that any new spending must be balanced by cuts elsewhere, and that makes agreement much harder. Everyone wants to help people, but not everyone agrees on how to pay for it. That leads to the question many of you are asking directly. Should you plan on this money? The most realistic answer is to treat it as a possibility, not a promise. If something eventually happens, it could help cover essentials, pay down debt, or build a small cushion. But planning your finances around money that hasn't been approved yet can lead to disappointment and stress. History shows that announcements often come long before action, and sometimes action never comes at all. Financial stress is something I hear about constantly. People talk about feeling exhausted, frustrated, and worn down by rising costs and constant uncertainty. Even when inflation numbers look better on paper, everyday life still feels expensive. Rent, groceries, insurance, and utilities don't feel cheaper just because inflation slows. That disconnect is real, and it's why conversations like this matter. Even if payments never materialize, understanding what's being discussed helps you stay informed instead of caught off guard. It's also important to talk about timing. Even under the most optimistic scenario, payments would not happen quickly. There would be proposals, committee reviews, negotiations, votes, and then implementation. That process can take months or longer. Headlines that make it sound immediate should always be approached with caution. Along with that comes the risk of misinformation and scams. Whenever payments are discussed, scammers tend to show up. Legitimate programs do not ask for upfront fees, personal information through unsolicited messages, or payment to release funds. If something sounds urgent or threatening, it's a red flag. The best approach right now is balance. Stay informed, but don't let speculation take over your thinking. Focus on what you can control. Review your budget, prioritize essentials, and make conservative plans. If help comes later, being prepared will allow you to use it wisely rather than react under pressure. And if nothing happens, you won't be left scrambling. At the end of the day, conversations about payments reflect a broader reality. Many people are struggling, and leaders know it. Even when ideas don't turn into action, they reveal how policymakers are thinking and what tools they're considering. That information has value. Staying informed, realistic, and calm puts you in the strongest position possible. Thanks for spending this time with me. I know these topics can feel heavy, but understanding the process is empowering. Take care of yourself, stay grounded, and remember you're not alone in trying to make sense of all of this.